welcome to movie recap time. In the remote Ramalan Valley of Norway, the Dovre Mountains stand tall, attracting climbers from around the world. Among them is young Nora Tidman, who, as a teenager, loved climbing with her father. Reaching the summit, Tobias would tell her legendary tales, her favorite being about a grand wedding where 13 trolls drank too much, lost track of time, and turned to stone at sunrise, forming the very mountains they stood upon. Fast forward 20 years, Nora is now a paleontologist working on a fossil excavation in northwest Norway. But funding is running low, and her team faces pressure to wrap up their research. Just as hope fades, she uncovers a fossil that dates back to the Age of Giants, sparking celebration among her team. Meanwhile, in the Ramdan Valley, activists rally in protest, determined to stop a mining company from blasting into the mountains. But despite their efforts, the company proceeds with its explosives, causing a massive detonation. As the dust settles, miners venture into the cave but are soon terrified by an ominous, earth-shaking roar. They scramble to escape, but a sudden cave-in traps them inside. News of the landslide reaches Norwegian Armed Forces HQ, prompting an immediate investigation. When General Lundy sees the crater, he orders an urgent government briefing. That evening, the Prime Minister of Norway is summoned to review satellite images taken over the site. She and her advisor, Andreas, are startled to see giant footprints embedded in the landscape. Realizing they need an expert opinion, they call in Nora, who is still celebrating her discovery. A helicopter arrives to escort her to Oslo. In a high-security briefing, scientists scramble to offer theories on the mysterious footprints. While most propose wild explanations, Nora confidently states the obvious. They are tracks. Suddenly, Cigarette, a tech expert, plays a recording captured by a protester moments before the explosion. A chilling, inhuman roar echoes through the speakers. With her background in paleontology, Nora is shocked. The footage confirms something massive was moving before the cave collapsed. She calculates its size, far beyond any known primate, standing at least 50 meters tall. The next morning, in a remote valley, an elderly couple senses something is wrong. Their dog barks frantically, and the ground rumbles beneath them. As tremors intensify, they seek shelter in the basement. When they emerge, their house is gone, reduced to rubble. But what terrifies them most is the gigantic footprint left in their yard. Back in Oslo, Nora is officially assigned as scientific advisor and heads to the valley with Andreas. Upon arrival, she is greeted by Captain Chris and shown the mysterious tracks, which seem to disappear into the mountains. Nora interviews the elderly couple. Mr. Gunderson recalls that the mountains themselves appeared to be shifting, while his wife, Adron, describes hearing a deep, melancholic howl, a sound that still haunts her. Examining the massive footprint, Nora's childhood memories resurface. Could her father's tales of trolls be more than just myths? Torn between science and legend, she decides to visit her father, Tobias, who now lives in seclusion. As she approaches his property, Tobias, ever wary, raises his rifle ready to fire, but upon recognizing his daughter, he lowers his weapon and welcomes her inside. TP. Tobias has gathered all the evidence to prove his theory about the existence of trolls. After looking at the photos she took in the mountains with her father when she was a teenager, the paleontologist reveals that something came out of the mountain and shows him the images recorded at the moment of the explosion. At this point, Tobias has his theory confirmed and states that just over 1,000 years ago, trolls roamed freely in Norway, but they were hunted down and exterminated by humans. However, just as Tobias was about to expose the whole truth, he was captured and taken into custody. Excited to see one of these creatures up close, the man packs his backpack and offers to accompany the team during the investigation. When the helicopter descends so Tobias can analyze the traces left by the giant, Nora tells him that a few years ago, her father lost himself in a fantasy of his own making and spent some time in a psychiatric hospital. Worried, she decides to go and talk to him and asks if Tobias has found any evidence to help them unravel the mystery. Just then, the scientist smells the same scent she detected while analyzing the footprint left on Leah. As she looks back, she sees a giant eye opening. Terrified, Nora tries to warn her father, and they both freeze when they see a troll for the first time. Noticing the creature's presence, Chris orders the pilot to start the helicopter's engine and gets the whole team inside so they can fly away. As the helicopter takes off, the troll rises, its frightening appearance sending everyone into a total panic. As if its presence alone wasn't terrifying enough, the monster lets out a deafening roar. Chris manages to record the scene to pass on to his superiors. Luckily, Nora and her team escape unscathed from the valley and return to Oslo for a meeting with the rest of the team. However, during the conversation, Tobias gets carried away and starts shouting at the Prime Minister and her advisors. At that moment, he is expelled from the room, and Nora asks for more time to study the troll. However, her request is ignored, and the Prime Minister orders a military operation immediately to ensure no more Norwegians are affected by the monster. Later, when she talks to her father, Nora realizes that he was right all along. His crazy theories have come true. Worried about the future of the nation, Tobias warns that attacking the troll would be as nature will surely retaliate. Hoping to intercede for the creature, Nora convinces Chris to take them along on the military mission, and at dusk, the group sets off for the mountains. Upon arrival, the team positions itself to fire as soon as the creature moves. However, after several hours, the troll shows no sign of life. While waiting, Nora has the chance to talk to her father, and they reconcile after years of estrangement following her mother's passing. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, the mountain troll appears, and everyone feels the ground shake as it approaches. Chris contacts the base and awaits orders. Lundy grants permission to attack, and Chris issues the command. The soldiers open fire, but as soon as it is hit, the troll begins to regenerate, its wounds disappearing within moments. Enraged, the creature charges toward the army. To prevent his men from being crushed, Chris orders more powerful shots. The troll becomes the target of countless bombs. In the midst of the explosions, everyone believes the enemy has been destroyed. After all, no creature could survive such a bombardment. However, just when they least expect it, the troll rises and advances toward its enemies, forcing them to retreat. While the captain hides with the civilians, the entire team is annihilated. The only surviving soldier begins to pray for his soul. Nora sees the approaching monster and slowly gets up with her friends, Tua. However, the soldier accompanying them is paralyzed in fear and is captured by the troll, who devours him alive. Realizing that all his companions have been eliminated, Chris desperately tries to find a way to get Nora and the other survivors to safety. But Tobias believes the only way to escape the valley alive is to make peace with the troll. With that, the old man decides to approach the creature slowly, through calm and deliberate gestures. However, just as the creature begins to relax, a soldier hiding inside a battle tank opens fire. Startled, the troll instinctively defends itself, causing Tobias to be thrown violently into the air. Nora rushes to her father's side, desperate to help. The troll, realizing it has unintentionally harmed someone, hesitates, overcome with guilt. Due to the injuries from the impact, Tobias does not survive. However, he passes away with a sense of fulfillment. Devastated by her father's tragic loss, Nora returns to Oslo and turns to his diary, filled with years of research. As she flips through the pages, Chris appears, revealing that the armed forces have located the giant and are preparing an airstrike. Struggling to process her grief, Nora starts to wonder if fairy tales might hold some truth. The creature resembles a troll, but unlike the myths, it withstands sunlight, leading her to believe legends have evolved over time. Despite this, she is convinced ancient texts contain clues to exploit its weaknesses. According to legend, trolls cannot bear the sound of church bells. After a discussion with the Prime Minister and her advisors, Nora receives permission to proceed with her plan. Meanwhile, General Lundy tracks the troll's path towards Lillehammer, where a theme park now stands. Victor, having just bought ice cream, excitedly runs toward the park's troll statues. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently. Visitors panic and flee, but Victor freezes in terror as he finds himself face to face with a real troll. The giant becomes agitated upon hearing the chimes of distant bells. Looking up, it sees helicopters carrying enormous bells, their deafening sounds disorienting the creature. Chris orders the pilots to circle, intensifying the troll's confusion. The beast clutches its head in agony, attempting to block out the relentless noise. Enraged, it tears a stall from the park and hurls it at one of the helicopters. The aircraft crashes into a church, igniting a massive fire. The troll then seizes a second helicopter with its bare hands, wielding it like a weapon. Just before the wreckage strikes Victor and his father, the troll intervenes, crushing the aircraft midair. Witnessing the creature's act of protection, Nora realizes it is not a mindless monster, but merely defending itself. After destroying 3 helicopters, the troll retreats, its existence now headline news. Dubbed the Norwegian Godzilla, footage of the attack spreads across the internet. Following the failed Bell tactic, Nora meets with the Prime Minister. She learns that military forces will now take full control of the operation. During a tense meeting, the Prime Minister is briefed on powerful missiles yet to be authorized for use. Andreas, realizing the military's reckless approach, resigns in protest. He joins Nora, urging her to leave Oslo as an evacuation order is imminent. Later that afternoon, the Prime Minister publicly addresses the crisis. She declares the nation's preparedness, but admits nothing could have foreseen such an unprecedented threat. The priority, she insists, is ensuring the safety of the population. Given the armed forces' failure to contain the creature, drastic measures must be taken. All residents of Oslo and surrounding cities must evacuate immediately. As Nora and Andreas drive out of the city, she pieces together clues left by her father. Determined, she declares their next stop, the royal palace. Upon arrival, the guards immediately intercept them, ordering them to turn back. Before tensions escalate, Sinding appears and intervenes, recognizing Nora as Tobias's daughter. Inside the palace, the king acknowledges Tobias's legacy, describing him as brilliant yet stubborn. Convinced that Nora holds the key to stopping the creature, Sinding leads her to a hidden underground chamber. Centuries ago, it was home to the legendary Troll King. 12 years prior, Tobias discovered this very place and tried to warn others. But to protect the secret, the king had him committed to a psychiatric hospital. The king recounts Norway's Christianization, where Saint Olav eradicated anything deemed unholy. He orchestrated a massive purge, wiping out nearly all trolls. Only one survived, the son of the Troll King, tricked into deep isolation within the Dovre Mountains. The intent was to imprison the creature forever. Yet, somehow, the plan has failed. Hearing this story, Nora realizes the giant is trying to return home, where his family once lived. She sees the remains of the trolls turning to stone under her flashlight. That's when she discovers their weakness: sunlight. Although she has seen the giant in daylight, he has never been exposed to direct sun. Taking a risky gamble, she puts her faith in her father's stories. Nora borrows a truck and calls Chris, asking for help to carry out her plan. Meanwhile, General L sends his troops into battle. As the troll approaches the city, soldiers receive the order to fire. Just then, Andreas gets a call from Sigrid. She warns that Oslo is about to be bombed and they must leave immediately. Sigrid won't be able to delay the strike for long. A young hacker works to stop the missile, while Nora and her team tie a troll's skull to the back of the truck. They wait for the giant near the palace. When he appears, Nora sets her plan into motion. She speeds toward the troll, honking the horn to get its attention. Seeing the remains of its kind in the truck, the troll begins to follow. With Phase 1 a success, Nora accelerates and calls Chris. "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Despite a team of skilled soldiers working to build the trap, the captain doubts they will finish in time. Meanwhile, Andreas notices the skull has fallen off the truck. Nora turns back, but the troll arrives first. As he lifts the skull, he sees his reflection in a window. Reaching out, he shatters the glass. Startled, he drops the skull, watching in horror as it crumbles. Overcome with grief, the troll lets out a mournful howl, but sorrow turns to rage. Realizing she's in danger, Nora speeds toward Chris's team. At the same time, Captain L discovers Sigrid's interference and seizes her laptop. The missile system is restored, and Lund gives the order to fire. Nearing the trap, Nora tells Andreas to jump. He leaps just in time, seconds before the truck is destroyed. Enraged, the troll moves in for the kill, until truck horns blare. Surrounding vehicles activate UV floodlights, mimicking sunlight. As the rays hit his skin, the troll begins to burn. Meanwhile, the pilot prepares to fire, but an emergency order halts the launch. The troll, now turning to stone, freezes in place. Chris cheers their victory, but Nora hesitates. Realizing the damage is irreversible, she disconnects the power, hoping to save the giant. She pleads for him to flee, urging him to return to the mountains, but the troll doesn't understand. Moments later, the sun rises. The giant solidifies, his body crumbling away. Nora watches as his heart beats one last time. Grief-stricken yet relieved, she embraces Andreas. Norway is saved. Minutes later, the Prime Minister and her team arrive, thanking Nora and her team. But Nora's thoughts drift elsewhere. If one troll survived, could there be others? She vows to uncover the truth. So what did you think of the movie? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this recap, like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.